Hello everybody, Lonna Lamb here. Welcome to my studio. Well, today, as you can see, we're going to be doing something completely different. We're going to be painting our own press-on nails. Yes, painting our own nails. We're going to be using a wonderful product, a reclaimed paint from Deco Art called Deco Earth. Let's keep our planet as healthy as possible. Let's use some reclaimed paint today, you guys. This is for all those people out there who love press-on nails and just really want to dip their toe into learning to paint some for themselves. It's a fun project. I think you're going to love it. I do have a coupon for Deco Art below, so be sure and grab that. But for now, let's grab our paints and supplies and let's get painting. Hello everybody, Lonna Lamb here. Welcome to my studio. How are you today? This is going to be a different video for me. I have been doing my own press-on nails, actually with gel, and then started doing some with my different acrylic paints. So today I'm going to show you how I painted this set right here with acrylic paints. I think it turned out beautiful. It's got some bling on it and some gold on a couple of them. Super fun to do. So that's what I'm going to show you in this video, how I do this set right here. So let me quickly go over the items that you will need to paint this set like this. So I've got my acrylic nails. Now these are like a medium length nail. They are long, for me anyway. Pretty long, I think. But I like the shorter length, but these were fun to paint up. And they can be a great special occasion nail. Okay, so we've got our nails. You're going to need a lint-free cloth and some rubbing alcohol. Okay, I'm going to use a little portable fan to dry in between my layers. You can use a heat tool, but you have to be very careful not to get your acrylic nails too hot because it will crack on the back side of your acrylic nails if you use this too much and get the nails too hot. But you can use it. We're going to need a very fine sanding buffer, nail buffer. Okay. A makeup sponge. I'm going to use 2 paint brushes for this set, a flat brush and a 5/0 long liner. You'll need a nail file. We're going to use multi-purpose sealer to prep our nail, high gloss varnish to get that glossy shine on there, and then the paints I'm going to be using are Deco Earth paints here. I'm going to use Calm Turquoise, Jade Green, and White. You can use any acrylic paints that you want, that you have. And then I'm going to use Extreme Sheen Vintage Brass for these little gold touches on these 2 nails here. And for my glitter part, I am going to be mixing, this is some Recollections Neon Blue. I've had this glitter for a long time. I'm going to be mixing it in with my varnish to create the glitter on these nails. You'll also need a paper towel, baby wipes, possibly your water basin, and a palette to put your paint on. So I'm going to show you how I get my nails ready to paint. There is prep work that you have to do because these are, it's like painting anything else. You have to prep them. So the nails, I'll pull out one of this other kind of nail here. This is a different, no, I think this might still be the same set, yeah. So the nails are very shiny, but we want to dull them like this, okay? We want to go from this to this so that we can paint and the paint will stick to them. So it's like prepping any surface. You know, if you're painting a surface, you're going to do the same thing with the nails. So I'm taking this really ultra fine sanding pad, sanding block, nail block, whatever it's called, and I'm going to just scuff up these nails. I don't want to see any shiny parts because those are the parts that the paint may not adhere to. You especially want to make sure that the tip is not shiny, because that's going to get the roughest wear. So you're going to sand them all down. I'm just going to take this off this stand here. It probably will be easier. This is I cannot even stress how lightly I am doing this. We're just dulling it, just taking that shine, that sticky tack right there that holds them on their stand. The stand is from Amazon. And if you're not in a hurry for your nails, just give each layer of paint that you put on there adequate time to dry without using anything to force dry it, because that's going to make the bonding that much stronger. So if you've got the time, paint a coat on, set it aside, do something else, come back and continue on. Okay, so I'm going to get all of these sanded down to a dull finish. Some of the sanding blocks that you get out there are incredibly not super fine, but they're a little rough. And they can work. You just have to be careful not to get too aggressive with them. This one I got at Walmart, and I have had it for a long time. I'm not sure if they even still sell this particular one. I've probably had this one 10 years, I'm sure. Seems like it came in a kit with some files and things like that. So just continue on till you get all 10 of them. We're just working on 5 because I already did the previous 5. I'm going to take it off because it's just a little bit easier to get all the areas when I take it off of the stand. I do like this particular stand because it's magnetic, and you can take each one off individually. And okay, and these nails do go a certain way because these can be used as extensions. They've got a little line on them right there, so if you were using that as an extension, it would go up onto your nail like that, and then you would use the filler stuff to fill in and create the nail there. Just about got too much putty underneath this one. Sticky tack. Which sticky tack you can buy anywhere, but a lot of the press-on nails come with the sticky tack and the glue and all of that. Alright, make sure that they are sanded, especially on those ends. Okay, and we will finish file them after we get done painting them. Alright, I'm going to take my lint-free cloth here, put some alcohol on it, and I'm going to wipe down each nail. I want to get that sanding dust off of them. Just get all that sanding dust off. We don't want anything to interfere with our adhesion here. Okay. We will let that dry. We'll come back to that sanding block and use it in between some of my coats of paint here. I need to move that one a little forward. You can cut these down and make them any length that you want, just with some nail trimmers. Okay, so I'm going to put out my blue and my green and some white. And this paint is a very nice paint. So creamy. I love this paint. This is reclaimed paint that Deco Art has. They call Deco Earth. Put some white out because I will need some white. I won't need it for this first layer. So I'm going to be using a makeup sponge to apply my paint on here. And let me see if I can get you in just a little bit closer here. I can get my remote to work. Okay, so I'm going to load one side of the sponge with blue and one side with green. We don't want to overload. We're going to tap them and work them on the sponge. This is our first layer, okay? I want that, you know, to be smooth on there. I don't want any buildup of any kind, okay? I'm just going to pick up the first one because I prefer to do it this way. Green is going to be at the back and blue at the front. So I'm going to tap. Oh, no, I can't do this yet. I forgot to put my multi-purpose sealer on here. Multi-purpose sealer. I mean, I could go without the multi-purpose sealer, but I don't want to risk that. I don't want to risk that, so wipe that off. Got a little ahead of myself there. We have to put a coat of this on first, okay? And we're just going to apply it with a brush. This will take literally no time to dry. And it won't take very much at all. So I'm just going to apply this with a slightly damp brush, and we want to cover the entire nail. Nice smooth coat. That's still got a little paint on it, but it will be fine. Just about forgot this step. This is a very important step here. You can use paint adhesion medium as well as multi-purpose sealer. So if you're doing 10, by the time you get all 10 of them with a coat of this on, the first one that you did will be dry, so you can start painting right away. And you can paint on here while this is wet as well, but I do like to let it dry. Okay? I mean, that's going to shine them back up a little bit, but it dries into a flat color. Move that off of here. Okay, I'm just going to quickly dry it with my little portable fan here. Grab me another lint-free wipe, because I will need one later. Blow it away with my fan. Okay, those should be pretty dry. I'm going to switch my glasses to my stronger glasses so I can see what I'm doing here. And then we'll go back to our sponge and green paint at the back. Now if you get too much paint on your sponge, you're going to have a lot of texture. Push that on there. It's being a little wobbly. I don't want it to be wobbly. I've taken it on and off of that so many times that sticky tack doesn't want to stick anymore. Okay, so just a light layer. I'm going to, I don't know if you can see, it has just a slight amount of texture in there. We got so many layers to put on here. Well, at least 2 more. I'm going to very, very lightly touch that and let it kind of smooth out a little bit. We've got those 2 colors. Now, it's not quite the same as this one yet. I am going to lighten up that blue, and I don't know if I added a little yellow to my green on that one, but I didn't like it, so I painted over it. But I may have to add a little yellow to my green here in order to get it to the exact same color, because even though I painted a coat on with the yellow, I went back just over it with just some green. Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of blue on the tip, some green on the back end of it. And don't worry about getting complete and full coverage with your first layer. And don't tap incredibly hard. That is going to cause a lot of texture on the acrylic nail. And we don't really want that. So I'm tapping the green at the back and bringing it down. And then I'm tapping the blue. I'm lifting the green side up and tapping the blue. And then when they meet, I can put the whole sponge down and kind of blend that. Okay, This is just a first layer, okay? Where it looks dark under there, that's that sticky tack. So you could completely base coat these with the green or the blue to begin with and just get a solid color underneath. I did not do that. Okay. We are going to get this coat dry, and I'm going to use my little fan here in a second. I'm going to grab my yellow. In case I want to add that to the green. So I'm going to dry this coat. I'm going to go ahead and force dry my layers so I can, you know, get this all done in one video. When I get to my high gloss, I may just do 1 or 2 layers depending on how quickly I can get that to dry. You can tell when this is dry because it's going to go from a little bit shiny to a very dull color. So you'll know that it's dry then. Okay, so on this one, when I did my second layer, I did add a tiny bit of yellow in, but then I didn't quite like it. So I'm going to just sneak up on a little yellow and get some green. Kind of mix that in there. On my blue side, I'm going to add a little bit of white, because I wanted that blue lighter. Let me lay this down. It's a little hard to tap while the plate's in the air. I wanted that blue lighter. Okay. So here we go. Second layer. Tap, tap, tap. Try not to have too much on your... Before we do our next layer, I am going to do 3 layers. And before I do my next layer, I am going to lightly sand this. And that blue looks a little bit, not too much lighter than that other one. I wanted that blue to be just a little bit lighter because I wanted to put that glitter on there. Make that glitter shine. I'm going to mix a little bit more here. Just try and very lightly tap. Less texture that way. And then even more gently, once you've got your paint on there the way that you like it, I'm just barely tapping this, and it's going to help remove some of that texture that is on there. So pretty. Very lightly. No need to be rough here. Okay. I am going to force dry this and hopefully get it dry enough so I can lightly sand. So they're looking good. We're just doing a little, a very easy kind of ombre look. Super easy. You can do this with multiple colors, but we're just doing the 2, keeping it simple and easy, fun. you know, this is for your beginning trying to paint your nails. You know, don't go in with all those fancy little designs when you're first starting. Trust me, you'll get frustrated and it's like, I'm not doing this. But if you want to do something really, really fun and create your own nails, which I have been finding incredibly fun to do, then just take your time. Give yourself the opportunity to learn each step. Alright, so your options for sanding these are go back to your nail file or use a brown paper bag. I think I used the brown paper bag on that one. I want to make sure that they are dry. That still feels cool, so of course my fan had cool air. I'm going to dry it just a little bit more. I don't want to start rubbing on that and rub any paint off. So I'm going to give it just a little bit more drying. And then let's see how this goes. I just want to very, very gently. If you rub your fingers over it before you even start, you can feel the texture. And I am ever so lightly just rubbing this brown paper sack on here. I mean, so lightly, and it's just taking that texture right down, giving us a smooth, beautiful nail. Now we do have one more layer to put on here of paint, but I didn't want my texturing part to become so much that when I did my final little sanding, I wouldn't be able to get through all of the texture. So you can do this after each coat if you want to. I just found that after the second coat worked fine. Very, very lightly, brown paper bag, that's all you need. Your nail should feel smooth then, you know, pretty smooth when you rub your finger over it. I mean, you might have some slight texture, but compared to when you start, and it's important that you rub your finger over it before you start so you can feel the texture. And you are, I mean, you're barely letting this paper breathe on this paint. So it is just a feather touch on here, you guys. And it gets the paint so beautifully smooth. If you're removing paint as you do this, could be two things. You're rubbing way too hard, and I mean you're just breathing over that with the paper, or your paint was not completely dry. I know it sounds like I'm, you know, really rubbing that, but seriously, I was doing it so softly. Now at this point, if you have any sanding dust, you cannot use alcohol, or it's going to remove your paint. So I'm just going to use a baby wipe, and this baby wipe is like half dry, so it's not even dry, really wet. You can also take a piece of paper towel and just slightly dampen it and wipe off. Okay, so now we're going to put on our third coat here, and again it's the green and the blue and the white mixed together. I have to do this down here because it's too hard to tap it in the air. Okay, I'm going to kind of tap over here and let some of that paint come off because I feel like there's a lot on that sponge there. And then we're going to put our final layer of just paint on here. The blue on the end, the green at the back, and then the whole sponge to lightly blend in the center. A very, very light touch here, you guys. So pretty. Green at the back. I have no yellow in my green this time. The only reason I put yellow on that second layer was because that's what I did on that one, and I wanted to make sure that my colors matched. But if I did it again, I would just use the straight green. But the white with the blue was definitely something that I needed. This one I got the blue back a little bit too far. So I'm going to bring that green down on this one a little bit. Lightly tap. Kind of smooths it out a little bit. I feel like this end one here didn't get enough blue. Put a little bit more on there. Okay, so now I'm going to force dry it again with my little dryer here, and I'm going to do another little light sanding. One other item that I didn't show you that I would need for this is a pair of scissors. So I'll have to cut the end of my sponge off so I can get ready to do my glitter part. So we want to get this dry because we want to do that light, very light sanding again. And your nails do have to be filed on the end when you're done making them, because the way that nails are made, they're made on like this long plastic stick thing, and then they're broken off of it. You know, it's got a little, all of them, I mean, it doesn't matter what brand you buy, they've got this little rough texture at the very end of the nail. I'll pick one of them up here and see if I can show it to you. Maybe not. I don't know if you can see that little bit of texture at the end of the nail right there where it's kind of rough. That's the way most of them are. Alright, they feel pretty dry. Make sure they're stuck down because I'm going to do this very feather light sanding again. Feather light. Feather light. Cannot stress that enough. Feel it before you sand it. That way you know when you've gotten to the smooth layer. I mean, it's not going to be 100% smooth, but it's going to be smoother. We will have to do this as well when we do our glitter. So that will take the longest to dry, and I may bring in my little heat tool and kind of set that a little bit quicker. But if you can let it dry naturally, that is better. But for this video purpose, I don't know, I may stop the recording and let it dry naturally and then come back and sand it and finish it out, but we'll see. Because I don't want to risk the underneath of my nail, my acrylic nails cracking from using the heat. Okay. Alright. So we've got all of our coats on there. 3 coats. Okay. Very pretty. I like it. Now if you like a matte finish, you don't have to use a gloss finish on your nails, and you don't have to put the glitter and the gold on if you don't want to. If you like it just like this, put your finish layers on, which would be a high gloss, or you could use a matte. You could even use satin. Satin just won't be as shiny, so I would recommend either a high gloss or a matte finish if you're wanting the more matte look. So now we're going to do our glitter stuff. So I want to cut off the end of my sponge here where I have that paint, because we're done painting. Okay, just cut it off and let that sponge fluff back out. Okay, and we're going to take our high gloss varnish. High gloss. I have to get me some more of this. I've been using a lot of it lately. And put a little bit out. I'm not going to put a lot out because I have to work in batches here, so I probably will have to make a second batch of glitter. And then I'm going to shake my glitter into my varnish And I will need a palette knife to stir that, or something to stir it. Get that varnish and that glitter all mixed together. And we're going to use our sponge to apply this. Okay. And the reason we want to use a sponge is because the sponge is going to soak up, although these sponges are not real absorbent, it's going to soak up a little bit of that glitter. So I'm going to keep this set maybe in camera shot so that you can see it. Put it over here, and I'm going to work on this set here. So the thumb, the middle, and the ring finger all have glitter. So I'm going to take my glitter, and I'm only putting it on one side of this sponge here. Okay, I'm going to pick up my nail, and I want the glitter to be at the tip, so I'm going to tap this on at the tip and then lightly let some of that come up onto the rest of, slightly past halfway on the nail. We're going to keep the majority of the glitter concentrated down here on the tip, okay? Alright, that one. And then this one. Sorry about that. And I'm going to tap this down here. I'm going to put a little bit more on my sponge. There we go. Now we can see that glitter. Don't get too much or you'll get really thick on your ends, and then I'm just barely going to let some of that come up here. So it's barely coming up here. I don't know how well you can see that. It's barely coming up into the green. It's mostly concentrated at the tip. It's like gradating, it's heavier down here and gets lighter and lighter as you go. Okay? Alright, and then this one, I'm going to do the entire nail with this glitter. We don't want big piles of glitter, so if you get that, try to tap it out, and if it won't tap out, this is where the other side of the sponge that doesn't have anything on it will lift that if you get like a big glob of something somewhere you don't like. Okay, that's one coat on there. Everything will get 3 coats here. So I'm going to see if I can force dry that enough to get another coat on. If it's not drying quickly, because I'm using a high gloss varnish and it can take a little bit longer to dry. So if it's not drying, just set it aside and let it dry naturally on its own. That's going to be the best course. But if you're in a hurry for a set of nails to go out, then by all means get that force dry going. And just be aware that if you use the heat tool, you can crack underneath, but you still should be able to wear the nails. But I can't guarantee that they won't break, I'm going to touch it and see if it's dry yet. The thicker it's on there, the longer it's going to take to dry, obviously, and I'm just putting some thin layers on here. Okay, I think that's, that feels pretty dry. Get it back on that stand there. Okay, I'm going to take some more. I'm going to put a little bit more on my sponge here on the end of it. So you can see I only have it right there. And we're going to concentrate this more on the end and bring it up just a little bit from that end. I'm going to go to the side that has none and smooth that out just a little bit. I don't want tons of texture on here. This is going to kind of help push the glitter, down in there and not be so raised on top of the nail here. Okay, do this one mostly at the end but I am coming up a little ways. I'm probably coming up about that far and then blending it out right there. Okay, I'm going to go to that other side and tap this, kind of push that glitter in and smooth it. This is going to help smooth it as well. So you still should have that gradation of glitter where it's darker here, you know, kind of medium there and lighter there, okay? We're going to do one more layer of glitter on here after this one, and then this one we're just going to cover the whole thing with glitter. And I'm going to use that other end to smooth it. I don't want this to be all bumpy and textury. And the only way that I found to keep it from being so textury so that my gloss varnish will smooth that out enough is to use that end of the sponge and just gently settle that glitter onto that nail. Okay, let's get another dry on here, and then we've got one more layer of glitter. And while that third layer is drying, we will add our gold, or our brass, I guess is what I have, onto that other layer. So the color that I went and got and added to my list was just yellow for the Deco Earth, but it was only on that second coat. So if I had to do it all over again, I would not use the yellow at all. It would just be all green and the blue with a little bit of white in it. No yellow. So I did show you that, you know, in case you wanted to use and make yours more yellowy green, brighter. It would make it a brighter green. Okay, we're going to lightly sand once we get this dry before we add our final layer of glitter. And we will probably have to sand after that final layer of glitter when it gets good and dry. Be careful touching it, because if it's not dry, you don't want to lift glitter. Okay, so I'm going to take my little bag here and I'm going to lightly sand over that glitter. It's still going to have raised aspect to it because it is glitter. You just don't want any really high places, and it still just takes a very light touch to knock that down, okay? And still keep all your beautiful glitter on there. Super light touch. Super light. I cannot stress super light enough. Okay, give this one a feel. Feels like stones or sand all over it. And we're just going to lightly, super light. You can feel where you've knocked those high places smooth. I don't like for my nails to catch on stuff, so if I'm not a fan of the rhinestones on nails because they cannot get encased enough to not catch on stuff. And I don't like stuff catching on my clothes. I would say my hair when my hair was long, but short now, I don't have to worry about that. So it's mostly getting caught on clothes. It's got something on it there. Very lightly. Light, light, light. We've still got one more layer of glitter that we want to put on here, so we want to make sure we've got as smooth as we can get a surface to get that last layer on. Oh my gosh, aren't they looking so pretty? Alright, one last layer here. I'm going to keep this mostly at the very end, because the end I want to be the darkest, and then take my other edge of my sponge and tap and blend. So That's definitely a more vibrant color on that end of glitter. You can use clear glitter as well. It doesn't have to be colored like I'm using here. Okay, I can kind of see where it's a little thick and raised, so I'm just gently tapping, kind of pushing that glitter in and on, I guess. Just take your time. There's really no need to rush. This is so fun, and I want it to be fun for you. You know, if you decide to do this, I want it to be fun for you as well. A little bit more glitter on this one. Okay, I'm going to take the other end and kind of push that glitter in and get it not so, I don't want any thick areas, so I want to settle all that glitter on there. Okay, that looks nice. Okay, we're going to let those get dry. And while they are drying, we're going to put out our gold paint here. Extreme Sheen Vintage Brass is what I'm using. Now, painting on nails is a little bit different. You really have to stay up on the tip of the brush. Bring my water over here so I can get just a little bit of water. I want to make this a more flowy consistency. But I do want to get the water off of my ferrule because I don't want it rolling down and creating any kind of issues. Okay, alright, so when you're doing nails, because it is a curved surface, you really have to stay up on the tip here. At least I did. So, okay, so, and when you're doing your nails, you have to do them opposite so that when you put them on, they match. So this one is on, this line's on this side, so this one I have to make the line on the opposite side. And when I paint these, I have to paint them this direction. Okay? So, I'm going to put a stripe, a line down this edge. Hopefully you're on camera for this. It's delicate work. Okay, then we got two lines that are coming across. And I need to start on the edge out here. And just go a little bit at a time across the nail. And that got a little bit fat. So I'm just going to do a damp brush and clean up. That got way fatter than what I wanted it to be. Okay, let's see if I can zoom in. And I want another line here beside it. Fix that line, it was kind of a blob. Doesn't quite look straight there. Okay, there we go. Alright, so this one Okay, so this one here, get you on camera. See, they go from left to right. On this one, I'm going to take them from right to left and hopefully get them in about the same area. So start out here on the edge, just using the tip. Damp brush, clean that up, and then I'm going to just smooth it out a little bit. Okay, then I'll make my next one. It's kind of hard when you can't rest your hand, so you have to be a light touch here. Okay, I'll have to clean that one up. I'm not sure they're the same distance apart, but that one's getting kind of thick right there. Okay, this one needs a little touch up. These look a little bit thicker. Not quite as long, but on opposite hands I think they'll be fine. If you're painting on the same day, of course your strokes will be very, very similar. But I do kind of want to clean those up, and I'm going to use a small angle brush here. See if it may already be too dry for me to clean up. Yeah, I think it's already too dry for me to clean up, so we're going to go with that. Alright, let's see if our glitter is dry. We want to give it a finish sand here. Get the wide angle back out so you're not so close. Alright, brown paper bag. While I was painting those other nails, this had time to dry. Light, light, light. Does not want to stay on my little post here. I've had it on and off of this post so many times. Our varnish will help encase this and make it smoother, but I just want to, make sure that it's as smooth as I can get it before we varnish. Light, light, light. It might sound like I'm going to town here, but light, light, light. That sanding is really going to smooth that glitter out. So don't skimp on that sanding. Don't say, well, I don't need to sand it. I've already sanded it twice. I don't need to sand it a third time. Well, you really do. You got to get your area ready to take that varnish, just like you would if you were painting any other surface. Your painting is only going to be as good as the prep and the work that you put into it. So to me, this is prep for varnish. Light, light, light. You know, you think you if you're watching this, you probably think, man, she's really sanding that, but I am not. I'm barely letting this sack skim across there. Okay, don't worry about the ends, because the ends we have to, and then these should be okay. They shouldn't need any more sanding. I am going to wipe them. Well, let me get this wet because it's dried on me. And get some of that sanding dust on there. You can hear the rag was catching on it a little bit. It's really catching on this one. Super light, super light. I didn't catch too much on this one at all, which I was surprised because it's got more glitter on it. But all right, so we are ready to put our varnish on now. So I'm using the high gloss varnish. So you can see them without varnish and with varnish. How it really brightens those up. You don't need very much. And I am going to use a damp brush. So I'm going to get my brush wet, you know, make sure all the bristles are awake, and then I'm going to squeeze out the excess. Okay, we're going to do one at a time. And I'm going to like lay the brush on here. I don't want it oozing over the edges. Some will get underneath it, so you know, we will clean up underneath them when we are filing. Okay. And I put 3 coats, allowing each coat to dry. And I'm not really pushing the paint on as much as laying it on and just skimming the brush across. Skimming it across, skimming it across, and then coming back and smoothing it out. Because you don't want to see any brush strokes. Okay. Alright, so that is 1 layer on there. I need 3. So I think I will stop my recording at this point and let this coat dry and apply 2 more. And then when I've got all 3 coats completely dry, I'll come back and show you how to clean up underneath and to file them and get them ready to wear. Okay, my nails are pretty dry here, 3 coats. Now we want to sand the ends of them. This set is already done, so we're going to work on these. The first thing we want to do is take a little Q-tip, and I'm going to get it wet before we sand them. And I'm going to look underneath and see if any of my varnish pooled under there. Just a wet Q-tip should take it off. Or if any paint, when we sand, any of this paint that's underneath here will come off. But see, a wet, just with water, will take that off underneath. So you see how you want to make sure that you prep your nail well in order to paint it, because you see how this is just coming off with water. Well, you certainly don't want that happening, you know, as you're wearing them. So each one will be cleaned underneath with just some water, wherever some paint got underneath it, or if your varnish got under it. You especially don't want anything back here at the back where it's really going to be adhering to your nail. So clean all of those up. It will take more than one little Q-tip thing here, so. And then we're going to file them and shape the ends. Okay, back here you want to make sure you don't have anything. Once you take it off the post, I'm going to leave it on the post for sanding. But once you take it off the post, before you're ready to apply it, make sure that the underneath is cleaned well. You could even take a Q-tip with a little bit of alcohol and make sure it's completely clean. Just making sure you don't get that alcohol up on the nail part. Make sure your nail is dry before you start handling it like this. I got some varnish over the edge there, but it's in my sticky tack. So this one I might have to finish clean after I sand it and get ready to apply it. Okay. Alright. I think that's pretty good right there. Okay, so for sanding, I just have a regular sanding file. It's smoother on this side and rougher on this side. I always use the smooth side. And I'm going to scoot that back so my sanding dust doesn't get all over it. And I'm going to sand over this plate. And I like to flat edge the front. Make sure, I especially want to make sure I get that rough place off from the manufacturing. And then I round my corners. You know, smooth them out. Round them as much or as little as you want. You can check the fit, lay it on your nail, and if some of the back here needs to be sanded, you can sand that, or the edges if they're not quite, you know, if they're a little wide, because you know it's hard to get nails to be perfect fit. You're going to get close, so you may have to do some adjusting with some sanding. Okay, go to my next one here. I'm using the smoother side of this file and making sure I get that burr thing off from the manufacturing, and then just gently around my corners, because doing this is going to flatten out those corners a little bit, and I like them to have just a little softness to them. Okay, this is not going to take much filing at all. See that one, I can really see the burr place on that, so I want to make sure I get that. Don't want any rough places. And then do my corners. Make sure you don't have any loose stuff on there. We're going to wipe them off again with a damp paper towel or baby wipe, either one, when we're done filing. And then before you put them on, just make sure that underneath is completely clean. And you'll just prepare your own nails like you would for a manicure, you know. Make sure you don't have any stuff on your nails. You know, you want to scrape off any stuff that's on there and lightly buff them. Clean them with, I always clean mine with rubbing alcohol. You can use acetone, just something to dry out the nail bed. I don't like to use acetone. It dries my nails out so bad. So I don't use acetone on mine. It just damages my nails way too much. Okay, I'm going to spritz a little water on this and get it re-wet. This baby wipe. And I'm going to wipe these off for their sanding dust. And then we have, oops, I have our two sets, or our full, I guess a full set, I guess I should say, completely done here. and they are beautiful. Look at that shine on there from that high gloss. You can put as many coats of the high gloss on there as you want. My very, very last coat that I put on, I mix a tiny bit of water in there and then just smooth one coat clear over it. It just seems to really smooth things out and make the shine really pop. So, all right, there you go. That is how we do our nail sets. If you've never applied them, you will use either sticky tabs. So you want to find the one that fits your nail. You can put it on your nail after you've prepared your nail, or you can stick it on the back side of the acrylic nail itself, the press-on nail, and put it, closer to the edge at the back where the cuticle part, where it will attach back here. For the glue, now I don't usually use glue because I only like for my nails to be on a couple of days. And then I'm ready to take them off and do some other things. But you'll put the glue on. I've never used the glue, but from what I know, you'll put the glue on the nail. And whichever, if you're using the sticky tabs or the glue, when you apply it, so let me just use this as an example. When you apply it, you'll put it at the cuticle part and then press it down onto the nail and hold it firmly. You don't have to squish the life out of your finger, but hold it firmly for at least 10 seconds. I generally do mine 15 seconds, and then you should be good to go. And then to take them off, I don't know about the glue. I think you're still supposed to be able to just soak them off in some warm, I try to get my water as warm as my hands can tolerate. Soapy water, even when I do the glue tabs. And with the glue tabs, they come off very quickly in that warm soapy water. But it should be the same process for the nail glue, although I cannot 100% accurately say that because I don't use the nail glue. I just use the tabs because I generally want mine on and off within 2 or 3 days. And with the sticky tabs, they stay on 3 days easily with no issues. So, and again, I'm painting with acrylic paint. I don't know how well it will hold up. To me, it should hold up pretty well, especially this Deco Earth paint. But, it's all a trial and error. So I would say just create some, have fun with them, and don't put your expectations too high until you have really worn them and experienced them and know how whatever paint you're using is going to work with on these nails. But I cannot stress enough, the prep is important. The light sanding, either the multi-purpose sealer or the paint adhesion medium, those are so important. We put base coat on our nails to help make the nail polish stick when we just do regular nail polish. This is the same. You have to have that base for the paint to adhere. So, important step, don't miss it. All right, you guys, that's it for this video. I hope that you have enjoyed this. I can't wait to see your painted nails. I'll try to link the holders that I have here, the little stands, down below if I don't forget. And if there's anything else that you need a link to, let me know. And that's it for me, you guys. I will see you on the next one. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.